I'm Joseph, and welcome to Flew the Coop.
Action shot.
Today I'm doing a little work on Texarado. I'm going to finally install a backup camera. There's been some tricky spots trying to back up, and I just don't want to do damage to anybody's vehicle. Really hard to see when I have the back side of the Jeep all packed full. I can't see out the back window at all. So I broke down, ordered a backup camera from Amazon called Do Honest, and I'll show you some of that here in just a moment. But right now I'm just kind of prepping, trying to see where I want to place it, how I want to place it, and how big of a challenge this is going to be. So the camera's going to go, hopefully, right here onto the bumper. The challenge is that this is at an angle up, so when I drill in, I don't know what exactly that's going to be like for my bolt, because I don't think I'm going to be able to drill up to an angle with the drill bit. So I'm hoping it'll be all snug and be okay before I start pumping holes into my my bumper here. Give it a shot. For the power, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie into my pod lights. So I will have to turn my pod lights on to turn the backup camera on. So here's the pod light I'm talking about, and there's a cable that runs the length of the bumper over to the other pod light right there, and I'm just going to pop into that electric line, and it runs right behind the hitch. So should be pretty simple. That's where I'm going to start, is connecting the cables. Here's a quick picture of the camera itself. Do Honest. I don't know if that's a recommendation or a command. I'm not sure what that is. Here's the screen itself. It's 5 inches, and here's the camera with the plug. So I'm going to have to drill big enough to get this through the bumper back to the wiring. This is pretty slick. It has a magnet on it for the mount that I'll put in the Jeep, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that here in a little bit. I'm trying not to be too permanent with the mount at this time. I really don't know where I want the screen to sit. Looks like a pretty simple install. Hope I didn't just jinx myself. So some folks, they tie into the backup lights on the system, so when you put your car into reverse, the camera comes on then. I don't feel like futzing with that. I don't want to mess with the brake lights or tail lights or backup lights of the Jeep. And also another reason why I'm going to do it where I plug into my pods is that maybe I don't want to be in reverse and I want to see what's behind the Jeep. And it'll be a simple matter of just turning on the pod lights. So I'm going to start by getting under the Jeep. I'm going to pull out the electric line for the pod lights. I've already been down there once and given it a sneak peek. Looks pretty simple. I'll pull that out here where I can sit and work comfortably and start tying into the pod lights electric line. Okay, here we are under the Jeep. Here's the electric line I'm talking about that runs over to my pod lights. And what's nice about it is that there's actually a just a module plug here that I'm going to just unplug this. I'm going to need to snip this zip tie, and then I'll pull the wire out to the back of the Jeep so it's more easy to work. You can see right here, here's the hitch, and the challenge is going to be I need to get up in there to be able to bolt this thing on. So that's going to be a little tricky, but that's what makes it fun, is the challenge. Here's the cable for the camera. I have way more than enough line, so it's going to have to be wadded up back there. But basically I'm just going to splice in right here to these 2 wires for my power. All right, so I've separated the line out. Oh, that's blurry. Here's a better look at the splicer that they provide. It might be kind of hard to see, but this right here has a, if I can get this to focus, this right here has a lip, so you can feed the one wire through there, and then there's another hole where I will feed where to go, this hot wire right there into it. Okay, so 2 holes there, see the lip, the 2 holes. Then I take pliers, push down on this to crimp it down. I guess that's going to cut into the wire hopefully, and make the connection to the wires together. And then this right here, this lid, supposedly flips over and connects right there. Let's give it a shot. Okay, there's the first wire in the splicer, and honestly it was not as hard as I thought it would be. I used the pliers back there to kind of pry it open first. This is a little bit thicker wire than what it was ready to easily accept. So that one's in. I'll put the this red one in as well, and then splice it down. Okay, I have them both spliced on. What I'm going to do now, before I drill into my bumper, is I'm going to plug this back in to the pod light and connect the camera, and let's see if this thing even works. Okay, I'm here in the Jeep, plugging in the actual screen itself. Going with the old power port down there, formerly known as the cigarette lighter. And I'm not going to bore you with that. Give me a moment. They also have an antenna that screws on. There's the magnetic piece. This is where I temporarily have just stuck the mounting bracket. Power's on down there. And oh, that is it. Okay, that's on, camera's on, and we have 0 signal. Okay, my pod light is on. My other pod light is on. I don't know if there's a light to tell other than these infrareds that the camera's on. I do know it works, period, because they give you a little testing kit. And I did test to make sure the actual camera worked. It did when just playing around with the little testing kit. This here's the antenna. But I'm suspecting I'm not getting power from those little splicing tools they have. I may just wire directly in. Yeah, so here's the back setup, and took the clamps, taps, probably taps would probably be the better word, off, and just spliced them the old-fashioned way. Hopefully it's a good enough job to stay. Okay, I've spliced the wires together. Let's give it a go. That on, camera on, no signal. And now let's turn the backlights on. And boom, there we go. All right, I'm thinking right about there. I'm gonna center the camera. This camera, as you can see, pivots. So the next challenge, besides the drilling, is making sure that this bolt I found, because it does not come with the bolt. It expects you to attach it to your license plate, which is way on the left on my Jeep. So I'm hoping that bolt fits. So next step is just center this, mark it, drill, and here we go, baby. Well, looking pretty center. And that's still looking pretty center. Okay, finally got smarter than the cut. Okay, finally got smarter than the bolt and the nut, and decided to turn it around instead of trying to reach up into the bumper to bolt it. So my lovely assistant went to go get a Dremel, and we're going to cut the bolt, hopefully not mess up the threads because it's too long for the camera this direction. And we're going to go from there and see if we can get this thing mounted. Okay, that was a tense, four-handed marriage counseling exercise session. But we got the camera on. It was a tight fit, and I've always wondered, when would I ever need needle nose pliers like that? Well, I found out today they came in very handy to reach up underneath the bumper and hold the bolt while we tighten it down. Okay, so now I just have a bunch of wires that are all bundled up. And put all these loose wires tucked under there with the magic of zip ties, and hopefully I'm good to go. Because I am a camera klutz, I did not record the next scene, which is the intro to the post-install annoyances and nuances. Enjoy. One is that camera is hitting the hitch. It won't go any lower. I noticed that the lines on the screen are sticking up in the air. Maybe that's something I can adjust to adjust them down. It also kind of wiggles left and right a little bit. Like that, it pivots. But I don't think that'll be a huge deal. I mean, it's aftermarket, and I'm definitely a professional amateur. The other thing I am concerned about is right here, muffler and plastic and rubber. I'm wondering if I can't get like a heat guard or something. I just don't know if how much heat is going to come off of this muffler, and if it's going to have a negative impact there. I don't know. It's maybe cut. That's maybe 2 inches, so maybe there's enough room where it'll be cool enough and not be a problem. But I am wondering if there's not some kind of Reflectix or something I can wrap. I should wrap up there to better protect that. But there's my wiring job. I also decided not to drill another hole into my bumper, so I just ran those wires back through the hitch loop right there where you would put the chains. Hopefully when I do put chains, it doesn't mess with them. If the camera does prove itself, perhaps I will drill through there. Right now, let's just see how this camera does and last. It was a pretty good price actually on Amazon. After they had already marked it down, and then there was an additional discount, so I think I got this for 75 bucks. Regular 150, 175. Several thousand ratings, 4.5 stars. We'll see how it does. Okay, I'm in Texarado and the camera is functioning, and I'm just messing around with the controls, trying to tweak it. Here's some instant feedback. That right there is as low as the lines will go on the ground. Well, it's not really so low. It's also probably my camera angle the way it is. I can futz with some back there, but I mean, it's pretty set. So I'm just going to have to deal with the fact that that's as low as my lines go. It's really just to see what the heck is behind me and get a ballpark gauge so I don't hit anything. It's very simple controls. You can raise and lower the lines there. You can make them wider, more narrow, but they are in set increments, all of that. There's also something you can do with the grade, which I didn't quite figure out. I'm just having it powered also to my power supply here in the front of the Jeep. Maybe I'll mount it somewhere different, somewhere better in the future. Again, I want to see how this camera does before I do too much commitment. And what's nice is I just flip on my pod lights on and off. They're off, and eventually this thing will go to sleep. And then switch my pod lights on, and there you go. Backup camera's on. So pretty simple. It does what it's supposed to do so far. It'll be interesting to see how it does when I'm out on the roads, out on the trails. It's really bumpy. That's going to be the true test, especially since it's just a magnet holding it on to the mount right there. I'm excited though. It's just another level of comfort and something fun to do on the Jeep. Another toy, as my wife would say, for the Jeep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'll definitely give you any updates. If there's any negative feedback to give, I'll definitely pass that along. Well, as I mentioned earlier in the video, because I am a camera klutz, I missed recording the outro earlier today. So let me just say, I hope you found this video a little bit entertaining. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you did, please hit that like button. We sure would appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers so that I could have a custom URL on YouTube. So thank you in advance, and thanks for watching Flew the Coop. Delay time. This function is useless.